All right. This week is going to be about a new application I developed for the iPhone. This is for electronics to make it easier to create projects. It eliminates the need to add an LCD and write the interface for that LCD. So just for quick projects. So let me demo this where you have your profiles, connection profiles. You know, you can preset them and then just come back and they'll connect directly to your unit immediately and display the data in any way you want. So let's create a new profile. Well, we're just gonna add some controls and communicate to the AdMega 328 and get data, send data, receive data, and see how this works. So to start with, we're gonna start with just a simple console just so we can send and receive data. And we're gonna connect to our unit, which is Blue Remote. Let's just select all the settings to have a connection. This message, you can see that we have some data there. Let's go let's go to the development environment and add a line, just a line of code so we can send data and we can see that this thing is working. And send it. And of course I forgot something, there's an error. There it is. What happened? Oh, there it goes. It just takes a while to program because I have a lot of things running. So there's the data coming across. You can see that it's just the message test from Atmel, and it just keeps repeating itself. It's in a loop. So this is just to show that communications are coming from the unit. So let me remove the line and let me add one more control. We are going to add a button. Actually, we're going to add two buttons here, and we're going to add a label to display the status of what we're doing. So here we have a green LED and a red LED that we're going to be turning on and off whenever we press one of those buttons. So when we press the red one, let me stop those messages by sending the software back to the unit again. There it goes. Takes a while, but there it is. Alright, no more messages. So now when I press this button, it sends a command says click one, and this one does the same thing. So I can click either or and sense a specific command. We're going to change that by going to settings by double tapping on the control, and you can see this is the title of the control. So we're going to put on this one, we're just going to call it red LED, and the message going back is going to say red, and we're just going to say on. So now, let me move this out of the way. When I press red LED, the message says red right here, says red on. When I press this one, it says click one. So let's change that as well. And we are going to call this green LED. And we are going to change it to green on. And we are going to receive the message back in this button. We're not going to compare it right now. We're just going to add the code first to handle those two commands. So you can see we have the green on and red on. I have the green LED connected to port D pin 2 and the red to number 3. So we're gonna check when we get the messages to see if we have, well, we want to check see if we have a new message. And if we do have a new message, then we want to get a pointer to that message. And we want to check what the message is. And we said we wanted red, well, let's start with green. And that's the message we're getting. So if it's green, we are going to turn off red and turn on green. So that will be done by saying just 2. We are also going to send a message back to the label we have there, and we are going to send a command saying it's going to say LED, and we're going to say on. Yeah, and we're going to do the same for red. I'm going to say red here. Sorry, green, if I can spell it. And this one's going to say red. So, and this one's going to be number 3. So when this message comes in, green on, I am going to turn the green LED to on, and the other one, if it's on, is going to be turned off. The next line here is going to send a message back to the phone with the field name LED and the message or the value green with a delimiter of a column. The same for red. If it's red, we turn the red on, the green off, send the message back to the phone with the field name LED and the value red. So let's compile that. Switch back to my unit. Still compiling. Alright, there it is. So now if I click on red, we get the red LED. We click on green, we get the green LED and the red turns off, and vice versa. And you can see the message being sent and also the message coming back. LED green is the message coming back, green on is the message going out. So red, green, you can see I get a reply. So now we're going to capture the reply on this label here, and we're just going to call this LED on, or actually let's just put LED status. Alright, so now we have our label here. Well, let me move it up so you can see it. Won't be blocking with my fingers. So if I press green LED, oh wait, that's not what I wanted. This is the one. So I need to put the field we're receiving, which is LED, and it'll capture the value. You can see not enough room, obviously. So let me make it longer. Let me just add a bunch of characters. There it is. So much for LED. So LED status says red, says green, and you can see on these two LEDs as well. So red's on, green's on, red's on, green's on, and you can see the is being reflected on the label as well. So let's move this side of the way. And by the way, you can change the sizes of these labels by simply changing the font. So let me make it, put a 10 on it, so make it really small. And you can see that the button now is really small. Same for this one. Let me change it to 20 just to make it slightly smaller. Right, and let me leave that one that size. Now we are going to control the servo here, and we are going to do that one with this slider. This slider just sends a value back of a specified range that you can change. Right now it's sending from 1 all the way to 1024. The servo is controlled from with a value from 255 all the way to 1300. So let's change those settings. So here's the max range. We are going to put 1300. Oh, sorry. And the minimum range is going to be 255. So now when I move this, it goes from 255 all the way to 1300. And you can see that's the value going out. And so here's the value going out. And it changes with the move of this knob here. So let's add the code to handle the servo. So we are going to, oh, for this one, since we are getting a message, we need to parse the command to split it into the field and the value, and we are going to capture the field and capture, well, that's it, just the field. Apologies, I was typing without switching the screen, so I added this line here for parsing the command, which will split the value and the field, and then I'm capturing the field here. Now I'm gonna add another statement to see if the field is the one I want. The field we're gonna look for, oops, that's not what I wanted, is gonna be servo. And if we find it, we are going to set this variable to whatever the value from that command. So blue get value in integer form, and that should be enough to make it work. So while it compiles, let me switch back. We are going to have to change the settings of this one, because right now it's sending a command that says VA, and we specify on the code that we want it servo. Servo, there we go. I'm going to say OK. So now, if I move this, we should be able to move the servo. Right? Leave it in the middle, a little more. You can see the the message is going out, and the values all the way to the top is 1300, all the way to the bottom it's 255. So if I was to change that and just leave it at, let's say, 1000, and the minimum value at 600, then the movement will be very little, or less actually, very, let me change it a little more. So it's going to be from, let's make it from 800 to, yeah. So now, it's more smaller movements pretty much to control it a little bit better. Or you can go the full range by just putting the rail to rail value, which is 1300 again, and the 255. And we're back at full movement of the control. So that's what I wanted to show you guys, that you can take this controls put as many as you want and display the data any way you want to. You know, you can take this one for instance, and you can send the limits back to your unit. If you want to change the limits on the fly, the green one will get data and display it for you. These are the settings that you can change. Pretty much all the controls have their own settings. You can save your profile, save a demo. You can take an image, a picture of what you're working on, and it'll assign it to your profile, save it. So now when you go back, now you have a brand new profile here. And if you go in, it's exactly the same thing you were doing. It has the connection settings, so it connects right to your unit. You can see everything works. Obviously you have to arrange it a little bit better so it looks nice. All the controls are movable, sizable as well. You can pinch, make them bigger if that's what you want. You can add as many as you want of the same. So well, let me let me save this. No, it's gone. All right, so this is the one I had. Make it a little smaller. I can add another control if I want to of the same. This one doesn't control that because it's sending a different value. This one does. If I change this one to servo, now it will control that. But let's make this one so it only controls the bottom end. Let's say it's from 760 to 255. So this one has full control of the servo, and this one has control only of one side. As you can see, it only goes to half and bottom. So, but this one has full control of the servo. So this could be for the left, this for the right, or the full range. And you know, cannot add pretty much anything. So if we go back to, let me save this one. So we should have what we created. This one controls half. The other one, um, you know, this one has two different ones. It doesn't control that because it's sending a different message, but I can easily change that by just saying servo on this one again, like the other one. And now I have control. Oh, I need to connect first to that because they didn't have any connection settings. So now I can control the servo just like that. All right, easy. I'm not gonna save it because I want to keep it the way it was. So I have one for my R3 with the settings I need for now, which is my odometer, speed indicator, a throttle sensor, shifter, console to see messages coming back, temperature, and the current map active, and a way to switch the maps back and forth. And you can see that what is displays at the bottom. I have a console which is nothing more than for debugging, where you can get all the messages, and you have two buttons to move around. You can change this as well. You know, pretty much anything here is modifiable. Once it's in the connection section, when you open that connection, everything's locked, so you can't change it. You can't size it or move it unless you unlock it and rearrange it, save it, and you're good to go. Or you can just create a brand new profile. You can, if you wanted to, let's say, copy an existing profile, you can always come back in here and get one from the list of profiles. So if I get this RC remote, I get that. I can add controls to it, modify it however I want to, and then save it with the same name. It will replace the existing one, or I can save it with a different name and it will essentially become a copy of the one you had. So again, you can bring anything in here. All the controls have individual settings. Some have more than others depending on what it does. This one, for instance, has the odometer. You can size it however you want, right? You can put as many of the same as you want and control different, display different data in different ways. So for instance, this one has a, make it a little bit smaller. it has a red line at 1400. What if I wanted to change that and say actually the red line is lower, it's at 7000? So now I have a red line at 7000. And what if this motorcycle only revved up to 10,000? So now I have a range of 10,000 and it redlines at 7. And the uh, the data for controlling the gear is here. You can see that it's looking for a field named gear, and it will pick up the value and put whatever comes in, and it has to be based on that delimiter. The delimiter can be changed either by typing a character or typing the number of the character. For the RPM, is looking for a field name RPM. Again, you can change this as well. Right, so let me see what settings do we have. So no settings. I have this unit here ready to go. Let me power that up, and we should be able, let's just go back to an existing connection, this one here, for testing. And you can see that let's see, did it connect? No, it's a different, so there it is. And I should be getting data, so now you can see that the data is moving back and forth. Right, this is the same control. I just didn't use the upper bar, so I moved it out of the way by setting a large value. Here's my data coming back. This one's only sending some data, sending gear, RPM, but I could easily on this label here, I can pick up the, let's say the RPM, where I can just say, well, give me the RPM, and now you can see the RPM being represented in the label, and it says speed, but you can change it to RPM or whatever you want. You have the maps of the data, they're not doing anything. The controls, the buttons themselves, they can get data back from the Bluetooth unit to change the title of it, or you can just send it to a label like this one, where you can just display it to the right and put a label on the left. If you wanted to have a different, let's say a different odometer here, well, let me save it and make a copy of it here. What was it? That one. Alright, so here's my copy. Let me add another odometer, and this one is going to capture the data coming to the throttle, and I know that data is called value, so I'm just going to go and change that, the RPM, to say value, and we should be able to see the needle move just a little bit. So we are going to also change the range so it becomes easier to read, or actually the needle will move a little bit more. Since we know we're getting less than 1,000, I'm going to put it at 2,000, and I'm going to just put this one red at 1100. So now you can see the needle going all the way to almost 1, because it's it comes down actually around 7 or something. So you can see the one at the top getting full range, and the one at the bottom only slightly range, still picking up the gear, but it's picking up the throttle, and the one at the top is picking up the RPM. So that's what I have. It's pretty simple. This is the code. Not difficult to do. It's just serial communication to an HM11. So we'll go through this communications file later, and explain everything that it's doing. But this is pretty simple. You can pause the video if you want to see it, obviously, but let me make this code a little bit bigger so you can see it. So all it is checking to see we have a message, and the message is being captured here. Whenever we get an interrupt, the character came in, we just pass that along to the communications unit or class. So we check to see we have any message. If we do, we parse the command. We get the field, the message, pointer to the field, and the message. Then we check to see what type of message we got. Did we get green on? We did. Turn the green LED on, send the command back to the label. Is it red? Turn the red on, send the command back to the label saying red. For Zerbo, if we get a Zerbo, then we just get the value and assign it to the output compare register A, which is pin B1, which is the one where the Zerbo is connected, and it changes accordingly depending on the value you set here. And this is just settings for all of those are settings for PWM to specify a specific range where the servo can detect it and move the wiper. And this is just setting the two pins for red and green. All right. Oh, I talked about that code and you guys didn't get to see it. So this is what I was talking about. Sorry. So here's the line 26. This is the integer. I mean the interrupt. Data comes in. It passes it along to the communications class. We have the settings for the PWM. This is running at 8 megahertz, by the way. And these are the direction pins for red and green. We are checking to see if a message came in. If it did, we parse it to split it between the field and the value. We capture the field in a pointer, capture the message in a pointer, or point to that message. And then we check to see if the command or the message was green on. If it is, turn that LED to on and send the message back. If it's the red one, if it says the message says red on, then we turn the red on, send the message back to the phone. If it's servo, then we get the value of that field. Notice that here I'm checking the entire message. Here I'm only checking the field because the value is constantly changing, so it will be impossible to write all the code for all the variations you're going to get. So you split it, get the field. If it's the field, then you make use of the value and send it back to the servo. So that's it. That's what I got for you guys. Enjoy.